All right, hockey fans, here we go. Capitals, Canadiens, game one. And can we please have a nice, tight, even, maybe in an overtime game, huh? All of the other games so far the last 2 days, meh to maybe meh better, right? Meh plus, right? Just no surprises, not a lot of, the best thing that happened was the kicking motion goal. That's probably the most popular thing that happened in the 5 games. Let's have something good here. An upset. Something close to an upset. Double overtime. Anything but what we've been getting the last few days. Knights and Wild was okay. Ottawa and Toronto was a whitewash. The Canes are probably going to end up taking care of the Devils because they've got no healthy bodies left. Avs and Stars. Stars were kind of a no-show. So let's see if Montreal can do this tonight. Now, we all know the story with Washington. Is Washington going to be able to keep that level of intensity that they had during the chase for Ovechkin? I can't talk. He got all the way up there. Then they had the big celebration, all of that. And now they kind of have to get their momentum going back again. Be interested to see if they can do that. On the flip side, Montreal is just happy to be here, right? They're just kind of like the kid in the corner smoking a doobie watching the show. Sam Montembeault gets his first shot as a playoff goalie. Over the course of his career, he's been meh plus, right? This year, much better, especially after the 4 Nations. Will that translate to playoff success? I certainly hope so. I'd like to see a good series. I picked Montreal to win this series only because I've been cracking the joke for about 6 weeks that Montreal was going to get the 8th seed and beat the Capitals. So I like to stick with those things when I say them. All right, before we get ahead of ourselves, just a nice, clean game. I don't want the refs to be too involved. All right, I don't want Monty to get off to a bad start. Let's have a tie after the first, second, third, fourth, fifth period. Sounds good to me. Let's do this. All right, so it's 1-0 Washington after 1. Montreal held their own the entire period. They end up with a penalty on the PK. And who else but Ovechkin? And Monty's played well, but you got to know Ovi's going short side, and he leaves just enough room for the puck to get through, and it's 1-0. Now, Monty did just make a nice save here towards the end of the period to keep it 1-0. Logan Thompson made a nice save towards the end of the period to make it 1-0. Montreal's playing well. They're holding their own. Second period is going to tell us a lot. Well, 2-0 Washington after 2. Montreal is close. Think they're going to make this a good series. I don't know if they can beat this team, but they're holding their own. They're getting plenty of offensive chances. They're just holding their sticks a little bit too tight. As soon as they get in front of the net, it's one too many passes or they fumble the puck. They're getting some chances, but they're just not quite there yet in terms of settle down. Now, if they could get a goal, maybe we could have some fun in overtime, but Washington's probably going to lock this down. Now, the second goal was Beauvillier with a deflection in front, hits Monty, he gets to the rebound and puts it in. They thought about challenging it for a second because they thought maybe he knocked it down with a high stick. It was close, but because it was close and the call on the ice was a goal, they did not choose to challenge it. And I get that because if you lose the challenge, now you give Washington a whole nother power play. 3-0, the game could be over. 2-0, and especially after the goal, Montreal had some good chances here. Just so many close shots that just like that. All right, can we get the sucker to overtime?
We are going to overtime!
Well, we finally got an overtime game. Good job, Montreal. Caulfield and Suzuki. How could I forget? Both of them. Beautiful. Montreal's absolutely took over that third period. And now I don't feel so bad for my team not being able to beat Montreal. They're going to be a problem. Canadiens, they kind of look like they've got a roster where they're going to be a problem in a few years. They're kind of a problem right now. So it'd be interesting to see how this game ends up. Obviously, that's a lot of effort by Montreal, but it's just one, next goal wins, right? And, Washington kind of has a veteran team. They might be able to settle themselves down, But boy, the last 10, 12 minutes of that third period, I don't know if Washington even had a shot. Montreal's speed and youth taking over there, which is not something you normally see in the playoffs. Maybe Washington kind of thought they had the thing won. I don't know. That's it. Let's move on. What did I ask for? Did I ask for 2 or 3 overtime games? We're going to be here a while, and we're streaming all the rest of the games anyway. We're going to be through Edmonton and the Kings. So let's just have a party. Well, damn it. Good job, Montreal. You did good to come back and get the game to overtime. You could kind of had a feeling it would have been bad for Washington to blow game 1 after being up 2-0. You kind of figured Washington's experience would kind of play into it. And, of course, Ovechkin right in front. Hudson, let's try this again. Hudson kind of loses Ovechkin in front, where have you heard that before? And I perfectly placed pass. I can speak. I promise I can. Goes right off Ovi's stick and right into the back of the net. And you can only be mad so much because it's Ovechkin, and what a celebration afterwards, right? You can't beat that. So that said, in my series preview, I did pick Montreal to win. Like I said, mainly because I've been cracking the joke that they were going to beat the Caps. But I don't know. If they can find a way to win Game 2, Montreal's going to have a chance in this series. They played a really, really good really good road game. You kind of figure Washington's experience, like I said, would take over in overtime. Montreal was holding the stick just a little bit tight there. But this team is going to be a pain in the ass for the Capitals and whoever else they play, whether it's this year or in years to come. So, good game all the way around. The refs pretty much stayed out of it. There wasn't too much in the way of, ticky-tacky stuff. There was some physicality, but nothing really egregious. There was one trip early in the first period, I think, that Washington had a complaint where they could have had a 5-on-3 power play. But other than that, as the game went on, Montreal found their footing, and really, I would like to say this series should at least go 6 games. Montreal's going to win some games. Now, if they can steal Game 2, right, they're going to be desperate. If they can steal Game 2 and at least split it home from the excitement, then you go into Game 6, right? So we'll see how that works out. Cannot complain about how Monty played. He kept his team in this game completely. Logan Thompson, pretty much the same, although a lot of the chances that, Thompson did make some good saves, a lot of the chances that Montreal had, they just kind of got knocked off the puck or won too many passes and just couldn't finish. But I'm sure Montreal fans are disappointed to lose, but at the same time, for your first playoff game with this group of guys, I know Caulfield's been there before, but for the fact that nobody really expected them to make the playoffs, they come into Washington with Ovechkin. Washington's the first seed, first playoff game. No harm, no foul. No shame in how this game ended up. But Washington does get it, so they get the 1-0 lead. That's going to do it for today. Now, I don't know when this recap is going to be up because we still have to finish. We're streaming the rest of the games. We're streaming Kings and Oilers. So this recap might not actually be up until tomorrow morning because the laptop that we stream from is the laptop that I need to edit the video on. So, didn't really think this through. All right, that'll do it for tonight. I will see you tomorrow. We'll be live at noon tomorrow. Then obviously, finally, the Panthers, I don't know if you know this, but the Panthers actually did make the playoffs, and they're going to let us start playing games now. So, Panthers, Lightning starts tomorrow at 8:30. What we're going to do is we're going to stream the beginning of the Leafs and Ottawa game and then join the Panther game when it starts. And only way we'll see the rest of the Leafs in Ottawa is if they go to multiple overtimes. So, all right. Appreciate all support. I'll see you tomorrow at noon.